didn't just come out of nowhere. The American people know John McCain. They know that he's the maverick, and that's what our opponents are afraid of most.
With just 27 days to go until the election, the McCain campaign is blasting Barack Obama. It is some tough stuff. Everybody from Sarah Palin to Cindy McCain to the candidate himself trying to raise doubts about Obama, painting him as too risky, as someone who just doesn't get it. But some say the McCain campaign is crossing a line, and could it backfire? Ed Henry has been digging into this for us all day. He's in Ohio. We should mention one of the most, if not the most important battleground state. Ed, talk to us about this. The campaign has taken a pretty personal turn, I think, this week. Today, Cindy McCain took a real shot at Barack Obama. She brought up her son, Jimmy, a Marine who served in Iraq, and listen to what she said.
The day that Senator Obama decided to cast a vote to not fund my son when he was serving sent a cold chill through my body. Let me tell you, I would suggest that Senator Obama change shoes with me for just one day and see what it means, to have a loved one serving in the armed forces.
Now, Ed, rarely do you see a candidate's wife on the attack like that. This is some pretty strong stuff from Cindy McCain.
Pretty personal, pretty tough, especially when you consider that back in the spring, when the New York Times was going to publish a story about Jimmy McCain, the McCain camp actually tried to get them not to do it, saying it was an invasion of privacy, and they didn't want Jimmy McCain, this young Marine, to be thrust in the middle of this national presidential campaign. Also, just in the last couple of days, Cindy McCain has said that she believes Barack Obama is running the dirtiest campaign in history. That was then, this is now, and I think this clearly shows the McCain camp is deeply frustrated that everything they throw at Barack Obama does not seem to stick, and John McCain is sinking in a lot of these battleground states, like here in Ohio, where Barack Obama has been edging ahead. They're frustrated and they're lashing out. This is a pretty big example of that, Campbell.
And Ed, this is part, Cindy McCain's comments, all part of a new offensive to try to portray Obama as an unknown, as a risk. Sarah Palin has been leading that charge. Today, though, you had Joe Biden firing back, and let's listen to that.
The one they have chosen is to appeal to fear with the veiled question, who is the real Barack Obama? Ladies and gentlemen, to have a vice presidential candidate raise the most outrageous inferences, the ones that John McCain's campaign is condoning, is simply wrong.
But Ed, the McCain campaign not backing down. Take us behind the scenes. What are you hearing about their strategy on this going forward?
This fits, Campbell, right into what we've been hearing from Sarah Palin about Bill Ayers, the former 1960s radical. Exactly what are his connections to Barack Obama? What McCain advisors say is they want to obviously sow as many doubts as they can about Barack Obama, all pointing to trying to say he's risky. You don't really know about his associations, his connections, and also they're trying to allege that he has not been fully truthful about those associations. The problem for the McCain camp, of course, is they've been throwing it out there, and it doesn't really seem to be sticking, in part because right now with this financial crisis, a lot of people in states like Ohio are probably more likely to be worried about whether their 401k is losing 10 or 20% of its value than what happened with somebody who was a radical back in the 1960s who met Barack Obama in 1995. So there are tough questions for Barack Obama, but in the long run, given this financial crisis, it's hard to see how it'll stick necessarily in the short term, Campbell.
And Ed, we mentioned earlier in the show about what's happened twice this week. Somebody on stage at a McCain event, a surrogate, has referred to Obama using his middle name Hussein, something that McCain had denounced early on in the campaign. How is the campaign handling this now?
Right afterwards, the campaign will undoubtedly put out a statement saying, we reject this rhetoric, we think it's divisive, we don't like it. But the bottom line is that before it said, they're not really appearing to aggressively go after their surrogates and say, cut this out. In fairness to the McCain camp, you know, you don't always have control of every minute when somebody's at the podium warming up the crowd. But if they want to cut it out, they could do it. They could put out a memo. They could tell people not to do it. It's going to be interesting to see whether they finally shut this down or not, Campbell.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 28 days. Ed Henry for us tonight. Ed, thanks.